Good afternoon. Here I am, Jenny Gee, and coming to you on March 1st. And I want to talk a little bit about yesterday and what was special about yesterday, and kind of talk about some of the things that just amaze me about our solar system and our world, and just allow you to kind of hear some of the numbers and just let them wash over you as you think about how amazingly creative God is in every way, and just what a miracle each and every day is. So I've been thinking about doing this as a Friday Facebook for a really long time, but I knew I didn't know the numbers off the top of my head and wanted to look into it. And I thought, well, what better time than on the heels of a leap day? So that is what we're going to talk about. First of all, yesterday was February 29th, and we know that's every 4 years, and I'm going to talk about why, and then tell you that it actually isn't every 4 years, which is just kind of a cool thing in and of itself. So, how many days in a year? 365, right? Well, actually 365.242190. Almost 365 and a quarter, just a little shy of that. It actually comes out to 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 56 seconds. The science behind it is awesome and cool. So every 4 years, more or less, we add one day on to the end of February, and that kind of writes it takes those quarter years and creates that extra day. And if we didn't do this, scientists and people who are way better at math than me say that every 700 years, or in 700 years time, our July would be winter, or we would have summer in December, or everything would shift. So we have to have this leap day in order to keep things the way that they are, and to keep our seasons in check with each other. So remember, though, I didn't say that it was 365.25. It's 365.24219. So eventually we need to account for those missing 44 minutes. And that's why they have occasionally, on years, they don't have a leap day in those fours. So here's how it's figured. And this is kind of cool, and we won't get to live through one of them, which is sort of amazing. So in 1700, 1800, and 1900, there was no leap day, because they were divisible by 100, but not divisible by 400. So then they took away the leap day. Now in 2000, also divisible by 100, but also divisible by 400, they skipped it and they kept the leap day in. So we won't have another February 29th leap day missing in a 4-year thing until 2100. I don't know if that makes sense, what I said. It makes sense in my brain, and I don't know if I said it quite well. So every 4 years we have a leap day, unless that year ends in a 00, and then we don't have it, unless that 00 is divisible by 400, then we do have it. So that's that. That's a lot. But what this gets me to thinking about, and I think about this a lot. I think about when we have the precision that we have, as far as this 365.24219. Just okay. So our Earth is making its way around the sun in such a precise way, in such a precise manner, year after year after year after year after year. And so, but there are some things that are changing. So I just wanted to talk about that because it's interesting to think about. It's interesting to know about. So our orbit around the sun isn't exactly circular. It can be at times. And then because of the gravitational pull from Saturn and Jupiter, our orbit will kind of get a little bit elliptical, and then it'll morph elliptical, and then it'll morph really circular. Now I had to write this down. right now we are slowly decreasing this, they call it eccentricity. We're slowly decreasing our ellipse, and we're becoming closer and closer to a perfect circle. This cycle to go from circle to ellipse at its greatest point back to circle takes about 100,000 years. So there's changes happening, but they are happening incredibly slowly, and kind of imperceptibly to us. But scientists have, studied this and recognized this and can actually name the numbers, which is just amazing to me. So then there's something else too, is we know that the tilt of our Earth is what gives us our seasons. It's not where we are in relation to the orbit itself, but it's the tilt. So our tilt, though, it varies from 22.1 degrees to 24.5 degrees. Right now, we're at 23.4, right in the middle. Our tilt is right in the middle of its most extreme tilt and its least extreme tilt. That cycle, though, to go from least extreme to most and back to least takes 41,000 years. So this isn't something that happens quickly at all. It happens incredibly slowly. We are currently right now decreasing our tilt, straightening up a little bit. The other thing that happens to our Earth that changes through time is as it's moving, I'm not shaking, I'm wobbling. So the Earth itself is wobbling, and it wobbles as it spins because it's not a perfect circle sphere. It's not a perfect sphere because of those tides. So think of the moon and the sun, and how, if you've ever seen those pictures, how low tide is actually the water of the oceans being kind of pulled away. And and how the full moon affects, and the new moon, it affects the tides. It's because of that gravitational pull. So it's pulling it away. So you have to imagine if you had a ball or something, and it was not round and you spun it, it wouldn't spin perfectly. So our Earth has this constant wobble. And that wobble is also partly affected, again, by those gravitational pulls, not of just the sun and the moon, that's the big ones, but also of where we are in relation to Jupiter and Saturn, which are just such big gas giants that they affect the Earth with their gravitational pull of us. Now, here's the part that I want you to just kind of sit with and think about and be wowed and amazed, if all that other stuff hasn't wowed and amazed you already. The Earth orbits the sun at, and I had to write these down, so pardon me, I'm going to look at my notes here. The Earth orbits the sun at 67,100 miles per hour. That's 19 miles per second is how we're moving in our orbital path, that quickly. Our galaxy, the whole thing, is moving through space at 447,000 miles per hour. That's greater than 124 miles per second. We are speeding along. And depending on where you are on the planet, if you're right at the pole, if you're right at the equator, you're moving 733 miles per hour with the rotation, where we are, if you're at the equator, you're moving at 1,037 miles per hour. Just cracks me up. And we are at about 733-ish, where we are longitudinally here. And, or latitude. Yeah. Anyway, and the poles, you move really slow, because you figure if you were standing at the very tip of it, you would, in a whole day's time, you would turn once. So that's really slow. So depending on where you are, determines the speed that you're moving. So if you think about that, we're orbiting the sun at 67,100 miles per hour. Our galaxy is moving at 447,000 miles per hour, and we are rotating at 733 miles per hour. You would think we would just all be dizzy, but here we sit, perfectly calmly, little, no feeling of movement at all. And I just think it's remarkable and amazing. And I think it's remarkable and amazing with speeds like that, that year after year, decade after decade, century after century, and through the millennia, we continue to have this very precise time and movement around the sun. It just blows my mind, and I think it's just wonderfully cool. And so what a great time to be celebrating and thinking about it with our leap day yesterday. Question was asked, why is it called leap day? And that is because, well, from what I understand, like last year my birthday was on a Tuesday, and this year it's going to be on a Thursday. Usually it's one day later. So next year it'll be on a Friday. It'll just be one day ahead of Thursday. But we leap over that one day. So you miss out on, the succession of the days. So if your birthday was, like mine, Tuesday, it won't be on Wednesday this year. It'll be on Thursday. Leaping over that. I don't know if that's the whole reason why it's called leap day, or leap year, but that is what I have heard. So I hope you have a wonderful day. It is absolutely gorgeous for March 1st. I would suggest you get out and just enjoy some of this beautiful weather. It just feels good out. It feels like spring is on its way. So I hope you have a great weekend. I hope to see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.